My husband wanted his sick ex-girlfriend in our home. You're just jealous, he said. Then she confessed, I want him back. So I made him leave and filed for divorce. When Derek first told me Chelsea had contacted him, I didn't think my marriage was about to end. I didn't even think she was a threat. We had been together for 9 years and married for 5. We had 3-year-old twin boys, Caleb and Austin, and a life that felt ordinary in the way long relationships often do. We were busy. We argued about groceries, stepped over toys, forgot half our conversations, and laughed quietly whenever we finally got both boys to sleep. Nothing about us felt dramatic. Then one evening, Derek came into the kitchen while I was cleaning up after dinner. There's something I should tell you. I looked at him. Okay. He was holding his phone. Chelsea contacted me. I knew the name immediately. His ex-girlfriend. They had been together for nearly a decade when they were younger. From what Derek had told me, Chelsea ended the relationship because she thought they wanted different things from life. She wanted more stability and ambition. Eventually, she left. They lost contact. Chelsea later married someone else. Derek moved on. Years afterward, he met me. At least, that was the version of the past I had always understood. I put down the dish towel. Why did she contact you? Derek hesitated. She's sick. My entire attitude changed. What happened? He told me she had severe kidney disease and was undergoing dialysis. Her doctors were managing complications while evaluating her treatment options. Whatever discomfort I normally had about exes disappeared for a moment. That's terrible. Yeah. Does she have family with her? Not really. Friends. She has people, but nobody nearby who can help consistently. I nodded. I still didn't understand why that involved Derek, but I wasn't angry. Then he said, I was thinking maybe she could stay here for a while. I stared at him. Here? Yes. In our house. It would only be temporary. I thought I had misunderstood him. You want your ex-girlfriend to move into our home? Derek immediately looked irritated. You don't have to say it like that. How else should I say it? She's seriously ill. I understand that. Then why are you making this weird? That was the first moment something felt wrong. I wasn't accusing him of cheating. I wasn't saying Chelsea deserved no help. I was asking why helping her required moving her into the home Derek shared with his wife and 2 young children. I'm not comfortable with her staying here. His expression hardened. Why? Because she's your ex. That relationship ended years ago. I know. So there are still boundaries. He gave a frustrated laugh. You're jealous of a sick woman. That hurt more than I expected. Don't do that. Do what? Make me sound cruel because I don't want your ex-girlfriend living in our house. She needs help. Then we can help. He looked skeptical. I explained that if Chelsea genuinely needed somewhere to stay, we could help arrange temporary accommodation. If she needed transportation, we could help organize it. If professional care was necessary and she couldn't afford everything, we could discuss contributing financially. I was willing to help. Just not by bringing her into our home and making ourselves responsible for her daily care. Derek shook his head. So your solution is to throw money at her and keep her somewhere else? My solution is to help without crossing a boundary I'm not comfortable with. She needs actual people around her. Then what exactly is she asking you to do? Help. That doesn't answer me. She needs someone to go with her to appointments sometimes. Help with errands. Be available if she has a bad day. So she wants you involved in her care. She doesn't have many options. I studied his face. Did she specifically ask you? Yes. And you already agreed? He paused. I told her I'd help however I could. Before speaking to me. That bothered me almost as much as the request itself. You agreed before asking how I felt? I didn't think helping a sick person required permission. That isn't what I'm saying. It sounds exactly like what you're saying. Our voices were getting louder, so I lowered mine. The boys were in the next room. I'm asking you to recognize that this isn't a random acquaintance. This is someone you were in a serious relationship with for years. A relationship that ended a long time ago. Then helping from a reasonable distance shouldn't be a problem. Derek stared at me. I honestly expected more maturity from you. I didn't answer. He walked away. That should have been the warning. Not that he cared about Chelsea. That part wasn't wrong. The warning was how quickly my discomfort became evidence of a flaw in me. Jealous. Immature. Cold. Insecure. Those words came up again and again over the next week. At first, Derek said he was only going to visit Chelsea once. Then she had an appointment. Then another. Then she called because she had a difficult treatment session and felt frightened. One evening, Derek was helping Caleb into pajamas when his phone rang. He checked the screen and immediately stepped into the hallway. Chelsea. I could hear only his side. Are you okay? A pause. No, don't worry. Another pause. I can come tomorrow. Then softer. You're not bothering me. When he returned, I asked, what happened? She had a rough day. And? She has an appointment tomorrow. I waited. She wants me there. I looked at him. Why? He frowned. What do you mean? Why does she need you at her medical appointment? She's scared. I understand that. I'm asking why you specifically. She asked me. And you're going? Yes. There was no hesitation. Derek, this is exactly what I was worried about. He looked exhausted by the conversation. What now? You're becoming her emotional support. She's going through something terrifying. I know. Then stop acting like there's something inappropriate about comforting her. I didn't say comforting someone is automatically inappropriate. Then what are we arguing about? We're arguing because this is no longer one visit. She calls you when she's scared. She wants you at appointments. You're becoming the person she depends on. She needs someone. Why does that someone have to be my husband? Derek stared at me. Because she trusts me. There it was again. I asked, and what does that make you feel? His eyes narrowed. What is that supposed to mean? I don't know. That's why I'm asking. You're looking for something that isn't there. Then help me understand. He shook his head. I'm done with this conversation. That became his pattern. If I questioned anything, I was jealous. If I explained why I was uncomfortable, I was insecure. If I offered alternatives, I was cold. And if I pushed too hard, the conversation ended. A few nights later, after the boys were asleep, I tried one more time. I sat across from Derek in the living room. I need you to hear me without turning this into an accusation. He leaned back. Fine. I am not saying you're having an affair. His face changed immediately. I never said you were. But every time I bring up boundaries, you act like the only possible reason is that I think you're sleeping with her. That's basically what you're implying. No. I paused. I think emotional intimacy matters too. He rolled his eyes. There it is. Yes. There it is. I force myself to stay calm. If Chelsea calls you when she's scared, wants you beside her at appointments, depends on you when she's overwhelmed, and expects you to rearrange your life around her, that creates closeness. She is sick. That doesn't erase emotional boundaries. You sound ridiculous. That word landed hard. I looked at the man I had spent 9 years with. I'm asking you to protect our marriage. Our marriage doesn't need protecting from a dialysis patient. The cruelty of that sentence shocked me. Not because of Chelsea. Because he had reduced everything I was saying into something ugly. You know that isn't what I mean. Then what do you mean? I mean someone you used to love is asking you to become the person she depends on most. I'm helping her. And I'm asking where helping ends. He stood. You know what's tragic? After 9 years together, you still don't trust me. That stopped me. For a moment, I wondered whether he was right. Was I being unfair? Was I seeing danger where there wasn't any? Derek noticed my hesitation. If you were secure in our marriage, you would understand this. I looked at him. Would you be comfortable if one of my ex-boyfriends came back into my life and asked me to sit beside him through every medical appointment? That's different. How? He doesn't exist. That doesn't answer the question. Derek walked away. I sat alone for a long time afterward. Something shifted in me. Not because I suddenly knew he was cheating. I didn't. But I realized he had no interest in understanding why I was hurt. He only wanted me to stop objecting. So I did something I had never expected to do during my marriage. I started reviewing our finances. Quietly. I didn't hide money or move anything that belonged to Derek. I simply made sure I understood what was mine, what was joint, and where every important document was. The house had been mine before we married, and the title had remained in my name. Other things were more complicated. We had joint investments, education savings for Caleb and Austin, and one commercial investment with both our names attached. For the first time, I looked at everything as though I might someday have to separate it. That scared me. My parents came to stay for a few days because they could tell something was wrong. I didn't tell them everything immediately. Some part of me still believed Derek and I might pull ourselves back from the edge. Then the hospital happened. Derek had accidentally left a document folder at the medical center. It contained insurance paperwork he had brought while helping Chelsea, along with several household and financial papers we had recently been reviewing. He couldn't return immediately. He asked if I could collect it. Normally, I would have told him to get it himself. But some of those documents were exactly the papers I needed. So I went. I had one goal: pick up the folder and leave. I wasn't going there to confront Chelsea. I didn't expect to see her. The dialysis unit was quieter than the rest of the medical center. I checked in at the administrative desk and waited while someone went to retrieve the folder. Then I noticed a woman walking slowly beside a nurse. I recognized her from old photographs. Chelsea. She looked much thinner than the pictures I had seen. Tired. Pale. Fragile in a way that made me feel guilty for every angry thought I had ever had about her. For a moment, I saw only a seriously ill woman. Then she looked at me. She stopped. "You're Rebecca." I froze. We had never met. "Yes." She glanced toward the nurse. "Can I have a minute?" The nurse stayed nearby while Chelsea gestured toward 2 chairs. I didn't want to sit, but I did. For a few seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I asked, "How did you know who I was?" "I've seen pictures." Pictures. Derek had shown her enough of our life that she recognized me immediately. Something about that felt deeply invasive. Chelsea took a breath. "I was going to talk to you eventually." My stomach dropped. "About what?" "Derek." I said nothing. "I know you probably think I'm interfering." "I don't know what to think." She lowered her eyes briefly. "I was the one who left him." "I know." "I thought he wasn't going anywhere with his life. I thought leaving was the right decision." Her voice was tired but steady. "I regretted it later." My body went still. Chelsea continued. "I had another life. I got married. I tried to move forward. Her husband had died years later. Then her health declined. Getting sick changes the way you think about time. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat." "What are you trying to tell me?" She looked directly at me. I never completely stopped loving him. Everything around me seemed to disappear. I had spent days being told I was insecure for worrying about emotional boundaries. Now his ex-girlfriend was sitting in front of me admitting exactly why she had returned. "Does Derek know you feel this way?" Chelsea paused. That pause told me enough. I repeated the question. "Does my husband know?" "Yes." I felt cold. "When did you tell him?" "A few days ago." A few days. A few days of Derek calling me jealous. A few days of him telling me I didn't trust him. A few days of appointments and late calls. All while knowing Chelsea still wanted him. And after telling him that, you continued asking him to come here? "I need support." "You have doctors, nurses, other people. It isn't the same." "No, it isn't." Chelsea looked at me. "I don't know how much time I have." "And that means what?" "It means I don't want to keep pretending." "Pretending what?" Her answer came without hesitation. "I want him back." I stared at her. "He is married." "I know." "He has 2 children." "I know." "I am his wife." "I know." The calmness of her answers disturbed me more than anger would have. She wasn't confused about what she was doing. She knew exactly where I fit into Derek's life. "What do you expect me to do with this?" "I'm being honest." Honest would have been respecting the fact that he built a life after you left. Chelsea's face tightened. "You think I planned to get sick?" "I never said that." "You think I wanted any of this?" "No." I stood. "But being sick doesn't make my marriage yours to reopen." She looked away. The administrator returned with the folder. I took it. Chelsea said my name. I turned. For the first time, she looked less defiant. More exhausted. "I'm sorry you're hurt." That sentence told me everything. Not sorry she crossed the line. Sorry I was hurt by it. I walked away. I made it to the elevator before my eyes filled with tears. I refused to break down there. The whole way home, one thought kept circling in my head. Derek knew. When I walked into the house, my parents had taken Caleb and Austin into another room. Derek was in the kitchen. He looked up. "Did you get the folder?" I placed it on the counter. "I met Chelsea." He froze. "Only for a second. But I saw it." "Did you know she wanted you back?" He said nothing. "Derek." "She told you." That wasn't my question. He looked away. "You knew." "It's complicated." "No." I shook my head. "Don't say that. Rebecca, you knew she still loved you. She told me how she felt." And then you kept going to her appointments. She needs help. You stood here and called me insecure while knowing exactly what she wanted. I didn't know what to do. You tell her no. It isn't that simple. It is when you're married. Derek ran a hand over his face. She's going through something most people can't imagine. And that gives her permission to pursue my husband? She didn't pursue me. I stared at him. She just told your wife she wants you back. He went silent. I asked the question I was terrified to ask. Do you want her back? Nobody said that. Then answer. He looked at the floor. That hesitation told me there was more. Derek. He sat down. I don't know. Those 3 words hurt more than a confession. You don't know. When I saw her again. He stopped. I waited. It brought things back. What things? Memories. That isn't what I asked. He looked at me. Feelings. The room seemed to tilt. I held the edge of the counter. You still love her. I never expected this. That isn't an answer. I thought I was over it. Thought. That word destroyed something inside me. You thought. I moved on. With me. Yes. You married me. I know. We had children. I know. And now the woman who left you comes back, tells you she regrets it, and suddenly you don't know whether you still want your wife? His face tightened. You're twisting this. No. I am finally hearing it clearly. I never wanted to hurt you. You had days to tell me. I was trying to figure things out. While calling me jealous. He had no answer. That silence ended our marriage for me. I could have survived a painful truth. What I could not accept was being made to question myself while he privately knew my fears were justified. You need to leave. Derek stared at me. What? You need to stay somewhere else. Rebecca, don't make a permanent decision tonight. I'm not asking you for permission. We have children. Yes. My voice hardened. We do. That finally made him look ashamed. You should have remembered them while you were deciding whether your ex-girlfriend's feelings mattered more than protecting this family. That's not fair. I'm done arguing about what's fair. He stood. Where am I supposed to go? For days, he had treated finding Chelsea somewhere to stay like our responsibility. Now he expected me to solve his. I don't know. You're throwing me out? I'm asking you to leave the home I owned before we married while we figure out what happens next. Because I helped someone who is sick? No. I stepped closer. Because you knew she wanted you, hid it from me, kept building an emotional relationship with her, and punished me for noticing. He couldn't argue with that. Derek packed a bag. Not everything. Just enough to stay somewhere else. Caleb came into the hallway while he was getting ready to leave. Daddy? Derek stopped. Caleb looked at the bag. Where are you going? I saw Derek's face change. He crouched. I'm just going somewhere for a little while. Why? Derek looked at me. I said nothing. This was his answer to give. I'll see you soon. Caleb hugged him. Austin came running over when he saw them. He didn't understand anything. He just wanted to be included. Derek hugged both boys. Then he left. After the door closed, Caleb asked, Daddy's sleeping somewhere else? I nodded. For tonight. Tomorrow. I couldn't promise anything. I sat on the floor and pulled both boys close. That was when I finally cried. Not because Derek still loved Chelsea. Because my children had just watched their father leave without understanding why. Over the next several days, temporary separation became permanent. Derek continued seeing Chelsea. That gave me the answer I needed. I contacted a lawyer. Then I filed for divorce. There was no elaborate revenge plan. I didn't try to humiliate Derek publicly or destroy him financially. I simply stopped protecting him from the consequences of his choices. The house was the least complicated issue because I had owned it before our marriage. The joint investments were harder. We had education savings for Caleb and Austin and one commercial investment with both our names attached. A significant amount of the original money had come from me, but paperwork mattered. Lawyers handled most of it. It was tedious and draining, but I was fortunate. I had my own income. I could support myself and my children. I never had to remain married because I was afraid I couldn't survive financially on my own. The emotional cost was harder. The day I formally filed, I expected to collapse. Instead, I felt strangely calm. I went home. My parents had the boys. The house was quiet. I sat at the table where Derek and I had eaten hundreds of ordinary dinners. Memories came back. The first apartment we shared. Our wedding. The day we learned we were having twins. Those exhausting early months when both babies seemed to take turns waking each other. Those memories were real. That was one of the hardest things to accept. Derek had not been pretending for 9 years. I believe he loved me. I believe he loved our children. But he was still capable of risking everything when an unresolved part of his past came back. For a while, most communication between us became practical. The boys. Schedules. Documents. Lawyers. At first, Derek checked on Caleb and Austin regularly. He called. He visited when arrangements allowed. The boys missed him badly. Caleb asked when Daddy was coming home. Austin sometimes carried one of Derek's old shirts around the house. I never told them adult details. They were 3. They did not need to know about Chelsea. They did not need to carry my anger. I told them their father loved them and that sometimes adults stop living in the same house. That was all they could understand. I wish I could say I was strong every day. I wasn't. Some nights, after the boys were asleep, the silence became unbearable. I had spent years building a life around a marriage I thought would last. Suddenly, every routine had an empty space in it. For a while, I questioned myself. Maybe I should have been more understanding. Maybe refusing to let Chelsea stay with us pushed Derek away. Then I would remember the part that mattered. Chelsea told Derek she wanted him back. He hid it. He continued going to her. That was not caused by my boundary. That was his decision. So I stopped asking what I could have done differently and focused on what was in front of me. Caleb and Austin needed breakfast. They needed clean clothes, bedtime stories, and someone who remembered which nearly identical cup belonged to which twin. They needed stability. So I built it. Day by day. The financial disputes moved through lawyers. Some issues were resolved quickly. Others took longer. Eventually, what had felt overwhelming became forms, emails, agreements, and numbers. The hardest change was Derek's relationship with the boys. His calls became less frequent. At first, I told myself he was overwhelmed. Chelsea's condition was serious. Maybe he was emotionally exhausted. Then the gaps grew longer. Sometimes Caleb would ask, "Is Daddy calling?" I never knew what to say. I didn't chase Derek. I didn't block him either. The door remained open for him to be present in his children's lives in a healthy way. But I refused to manage his fatherhood for him. That responsibility belonged to Derek. Months passed. The divorce process continued. Life became quieter. Not happy every day, but stable. Then, about 8 months after I filed, I heard that Chelsea had died. Someone who knew both Derek and Chelsea mentioned it. For a few seconds, I couldn't speak. I had known her illness was serious. Still, hearing that she was gone felt strange. I didn't celebrate. Whatever Chelsea had done, she had still been a human being facing a frightening illness. I never wished death on her. Later that evening, I thought about everything that had happened. Chelsea had returned to a man she once left. Derek had chosen unresolved feelings from his past over the family he had already built. Maybe they believed they were getting a second chance. Maybe Chelsea genuinely felt illness had given her clarity. Maybe Derek believed seeing her again proved something about what they had once shared. I would never know. What I did know is the cost. Our marriage ended. Our children lost the stability they had known. Trust disappeared. And eventually, Chelsea was gone too. I wondered whether Derek regretted anything. Whether he looked around afterward and finally understood what he had given up. I didn't contact him. Not because I wanted him to suffer. His grief simply wasn't mine to carry anymore. That was one of the hardest lessons I learned from all of this. Chelsea crossed a line. She knowingly told a married man she wanted him back. But Derek was the person who had made vows to me. He was the one raising children with me. He knew what Chelsea wanted and continued seeing her while telling me I was insecure. He could have said, "I care about you, but I'm married. I cannot be the person you want me to be." He didn't. That choice belonged to him. Today, Caleb and Austin are older. They still ask questions sometimes. I answer what I can without giving them burdens that belong to adults. I don't know what Derek will tell them one day. That will be his responsibility. Our home feels different now. At first, every room reminded me of something we lost. Now it feels like ours again. Mine. Caleb's. Austin's. We built new routines. Saturday pancakes. Library afternoons. Movie nights where the boys spend longer choosing the movie than watching it. I slowly reconnected with people I had drifted away from during the marriage. I learned how dangerous it can be to build your entire emotional world around one person. And I learned how important independence is. Money does not fix heartbreak. But being able to stand on my own meant I could make a decision based on dignity instead of fear. Sometimes I still think about that first conversation. Derek standing in our kitchen. Chelsea had contacted him. She was sick. She needed help. At that moment, I had no proof that anything inappropriate had happened. Only discomfort. Maybe some people would say my boundary was too strict. Maybe another wife would have welcomed Chelsea into the house and believed compassion was enough to keep everything safe. I couldn't. And after everything that happened, I'm glad I listened to myself. Trust does not mean ignoring what is happening in front of you. Compassion does not require allowing someone into the most intimate parts of your marriage. And no boundary can force someone to remain loyal if they have already decided to cross it. I could not stop Derek from choosing Chelsea. I could only decide what I would do once he showed me that choice. So I stopped fighting for someone who was already looking backward. I filed for divorce. I protected my children's future. And when the relationship he chose eventually ended in a way no one could change, I did not become the safe place waiting for him to return. Maybe someday Derek will come back. Maybe grief will fade and he'll remember the life we had. Maybe he'll apologize. Maybe he'll say he made the worst mistake of his life. But losing Chelsea does not erase choosing her. I will not become someone's second choice simply because their first choice is gone. So I still wonder about the question that started all of this. Was I wrong for refusing to let my husband become his ex-girlfriend's caretaker before I knew she wanted him back? Or did I recognize the betrayal before either of them was willing to admit what it had become?